Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm so excited today because today my dear friend Brenda-Lee Hunter has her new book that's being launched. Brenda has a deep passion, and she cares deeply for humanity. And she has started a mission called the Legacy Mission, and she wants to help save people and help parents and loved ones dealing with the drug crisis that we've got going on in the world, but especially where we're located, which is in near Vancouver in British Columbia. So it's a book that's near and dear to her heart, and I wrote about my niece in the book, so it's dear to my heart as well. So Brenda, welcome and congratulations. Tomorrow's the big day.
Yes, I'm very excited. Thank you. It's
Yeah,
been a long time coming.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
particular piece has been 10 months. And I thought we would be wrapping up earlier in the year, but you learn as you go. So here we are.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the book. What's the name of the first book? What's it all about? Who do you have writing in there other
Okay,
than me?
there you go. So the book is called, and this is the
The
proof that
proof.
takes the fun out of the whole.
Yeah.
But so it's Echoes of Love, Voices of Loss. And this is a collaboration between there's over another well, there's about 10 people involved in the book. And I've I've got a list of credits. I don't know if you want or of authors. I don't know if you want me to
It's up to
uh,
you. Up
okay,
to
well
you.
then I will, because without these people, this book would not have been possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
contributors include Denise Ingham, Stacy Parent. Denise lost her son, who was actually her foster son,
Oh.
way back in the beginning, of, right when they were starting to acknowledge that we had a drug crisis in BC.
Mm.
Stacy Parent. Um, there is myself, Michelle Fry, Christine Moore. She has been very active advocating for the loss of her son, Christopher, which
Mm.
happened in, I believe it's the Kootenays. And she'll correct me if I'm wrong, but she has been advocating for the way society and our governments especially handle these situations. Um, Catherine Chapman King, Sandy McQuaid, and Teresa Probe, just to name a few of them. So
Yeah.
they've
Oh.
all lost loved ones to the drug crisis, as you yourself know. Um, but their stories show that this isn't just about homelessness or just about addiction, or it's about so much more. And there's so many reasons why people are dying because of this drug crisis. Um,
Mhm.
in the 1990s, this magic drug came onto the market that was highly prescribed by all the doctors, and opioids. And of course, that was what they look at as the beginning of the current drug crisis across all countries, because people relied on that to take care of their pain. And then later on, the um, the doctors were made aware that this drug they'd been prescribing was actually having deadly effects on people. And a lot of them, they would pull back on the prescriptions, and that left the people who were in pain going, what do I do now? And so they turned to the streets, and it just snowballed from there. So one of the things that is, well, there's two um, issues that I focus on in this book that are not talked about a lot. One is the overprescription of the overprescription of painkillers and mental health drugs, and like antidepressants and anxiety, and how those interactions are killing people, and doctors know it and they're ignoring it.
Mm.
And then the second one, which is a little more near and dear to my heart, is the effect that the drug crisis has on the children who are born
Yeah.
into it. They're born addicted because their parents are using substances while they're pregnant, and children are born into not only addiction but into all the trauma that follows those situations, and
Mm.
they become the adults that we are seeing in the streets and in the jails and suffering from the effects of the fallout of this crisis.
Yeah. It's generational.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
very generational, and nobody keeps numbers on those situations. Like you can Google today how many people, homeless people, died from drug related causes in 2025, and you'll get some statistics. I mean, they're still not perfect because lots of this goes unreported, but when you look to see like what are the other victims going through, you there's very little out there. And the third point here was to give an outlet to the people who have lost those loved ones.
Yeah.
When you are faced in that situation, as you well know, you're affected. Well, actually, I'm going to just read a sentence from
Yeah.
recently released Chief Medical Health Officer's report.
Okay.
They're talking about everything about the drug crisis, but I came upon this: family, friends, and loved ones. And for many families, the impact of this crisis, not only is it deeply personal, but it's shaped by social stigma.
Mm.
So therefore, their grief, it's often complicated by judgment related to substance use from other people, and they feel isolated. They'll often describe their loss as intertwined with like a sense of isolation, and they they aren't given the I don't know about right, but they aren't able to feel the same way. Like when somebody says my child died from an illness or my child died in a car accident, you get one response. But as soon as people mention drugs and overdose and these situations, it's a whole nother response. People
Mm.
don't know what to say because society has made us this way. So through the book,
Mm.
my my hope is to share the stories and have people who really don't know a lot about what's going on other than what they hear in the news,
Yeah.
have them grow with compassion and help support us who have been left behind by
Mhm.
our loved ones.
Wow. Brenda Lee, I never, because I've been through it, but
Yeah.
I never really thought about it in those terms. But you're absolutely right. There's a societal difference. It's a
Yes.
stigma.
Yes.
Yeah. And people have these preconceived ideas of what some someone is like on the streets.
Right.
That's a drug addict. And usually those stigmas are quite negative.
Yes.
And but they don't, yeah, so I get that. I understand. Wow, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
And just to show, because that's what people think, all these people dying from this drug crisis, they're making choices to do, and it's so frustrating that people
Yeah.
don't really understand. But a good example is one of the stories I talk about is Mikey. And Mikey was my youngest daughter's birth father. I adopted her at birth. She was born into addiction. Um, he was the poster child for future addict because he was born into addiction. He was substance exposed prenatally. And he told a doctor right before he died, he knew when he was 12 years old that he was going to die in the streets.
Mm.
that he'd never left since birth. He was raised by his parents in the streets, and they had him selling drugs at 12 years old. And he knew his fate. And, where were the people to help him? With
Mm-hmm.
society, just they failed him. Our
Yeah.
government, people walking by him in the streets, judging him, he was failed, and he
Mm-hmm.
died a year and a half,
Yeah.
just about 2 years ago now.
So sad.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's where um, the idea and the reasoning behind the book came in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, came.
Yeah. I think that it's beautiful that you're giving people a place to honor their loved one, because by telling their story, they are honoring them. They're letting people who read the book, they're going to hopefully gain a better, a different, a more empathetic understanding of what people are going through out there. And maybe when they read the book and they read those stories, they're going to understand that they're people
Yeah,
with,
exactly.
yeah, and they're there for, nobody wants to be there.
No, and
That's not the life people choose.
then not only are they people, and not only do they matter, but the people left behind
Yes. Yes.
matter. And what we're seeing is, it's almost like years ago you'd go to a house party or gathering, and everybody would be talking about, I don't know, aerobics, because that was just the biggest thing, right? And you
Yeah.
couldn't go
Yeah.
anywhere without them talking about aerobics. And now it's turned, you can't go anywhere without having a conversation with somebody who has lost somebody to this drug crisis. it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I know there are a few people out there who haven't, but they can't think that they're untouched by this, even if nobody they personally know
Hmm.
dies because of the drug crisis.
Yeah.
The people dying, the people we're trying to help, they all have an impact on the rest of society, whether it's like when you look at this from a community level.
Yeah.
We have business people out there trying to give to the community, and they have the challenges of going to work, facing the homelessness in the street, cleaning up their storefronts before anybody can walk through the door, and that type of thing. And it's a frustration, but it's also heartbreaking for them to be seeing
Hmm.
this and to be reaching out, maybe to their community councils and whatnot, and nothing seems to be changing. It just seems to be getting worse.
Yeah. 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 My son, I don't know if I ever told you this, but my son uh owned a condo, and right next door, he was on the ground floor corner, lovely building, it was newer, and and there was some street issues. There were some issues in the neighborhood, but the community, the government, the mayor's office decided to put right next door a what were they called? No, it wasn't a safe
Oh,
injection site, but it
no,
was something where it was an
for
outreach,
an
like an outreach, I guess is what you'd call it. Well, my son couldn't sell. He moved into Surrey and he was living in this other community and he couldn't sell it. Realtors would bring their clients, they'd open up the patio windows and there would be homeless people on the
yeah,
deck.
yeah,
And he had someone die sadly on the walkway to his balcony door.
yeah,
Um, it was terrible, terrible what was going on, and it's terrible for the people that are going through it. But my son ended up, because we have the empty tax situation,
right.
couldn't sell it, got stuck with a
So
$5,000 bill. No, seriously, for empty tax because he didn't rent it out. And eventually, long story short, he just moved back in.
yeah, yeah. Wow.
He
You know,
and
and that
then And then eventually, they've now shut it down and moved it. And that was and after 10 years, he was able to sell it.
Well, this is a good segue into the other piece of the book, but not just the book, but of the legacy mission itself. Because yesterday I sat with a Langley city councilor. We had a wonderful conversation. She is very open to going forward with this, and she's setting up some meetings with the provincial, the MLA that I've tried to get a meeting with for a long time with no luck. So I thought, no, I'm going to go find someone who can, and she did. So that's great. But what we were talking about, and it was interesting for me to listen to her talk about all the band-aid solutions that they have for, which are like everything that we look at as a solution is only a band-aid solution all by itself. Safe injection sites, shelters, the outreach programs. What we're hearing is that the one thing people need is, when they want help, they need to be able to get it. And we're not there yet in BC. And one of the reasons we're not there yet is because each step of the government blames the next step or the lower for not, doing their part, right? Like everybody's so busy pointing fingers. But I'm hoping with this book to bring awareness, not only to everybody, friends and neighbors, but to the politicians, and light a fire under their butts. It's time people stop dying because of this, when there are so many solutions that they could explore that work in other parts of our country and other countries, and they just haven't seemed to want to.
I personally don't understand what the issue is.
Well, they'll say it's money, but I also know, because I did some research, there are many politicians out there who have lost loved ones to the drug crisis, and they're not saying anything. And how can you not? Like, it's very frustrating. So that's my soapboxy thing.
Well, Brenda, I think I get that money. I get it. I get that. But did you happen to see on the news the other night where, because we've got, what's that football or that soccer game? FIFA, right. No, I'm not a soccer fan, but so FIFA. So I'm watching the news the other night, and they have kind of somehow they've shuttered all the poor people somewhere. Yes. And people they're walking, and they've got massive people cleaning up the streets all day long, one after another. And the streets look beautiful. But what happens when FIFA is gone?
Well, so the same thing that happened after Expo.
Yeah. Well, if we have money for these kinds of things, like everybody, what I've noticed in our society is that nobody wants to invest in prevention. Right. They just want to invest in how to maintain what's going on. But nobody wants to invest in any prevention measures.
Well, we all have to budget, right? Like, households, whatever, governments, they all have to budget. So we have this budget for homelessness, mental health, addiction, blah, blah, blah. We have the different budgets. And I was asked by this counselor yesterday that would I be willing to have a tax increase to pay for some of the things we were discussing, right? To make those services available to help with this crisis. And I said, absolutely. I said, what's frustrating me is right now, I don't get a say over the amount of money it's costing every single day to move people from one side of the street to the next, to move their tents and belongings from one side of and that's all we're doing. I see it outside my window. We move the same people from one side of 208 at Fraser Highway, 208, to the other on a daily basis. And the amount of money it costs to do that, where they could be putting that same amount of money into something that actually works and helps people, not
Mhm.
just move them out and try and ignore them for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And I think that as people start to heal and get better, they become, again, better people in society,
Yeah.
not using the medical system the way that it's being used.
It
And
saves money in the long run.
there's other
And,
ways.
and there's lots of, you might not agree with everybody's idea of how this can be fixed, but the other point, that one of the biggest costs to this, both for from the human side and from the medical side, is it's great to have naloxone and whatnot to bring people back from an overdose.
Yes.
But in those minutes, and a lot of times it's every day this is happening to them and whatnot, their brains are dying.
Hmm.
So we need to find now some way to help those people who just can't make choices for themselves anymore. And
Hmm.
we have to have a more humane way,
Yes.
so that not only are they in the streets living that has to be held, and then the money that is directed at that, and we're not seeing any long-term benefit, because a lot of them won't ever beat addiction because their brains have been damaged.
No, absolutely. I agree. And I think that I'm all about involuntary care
Yeah.
because I agree with you. They can't make a proper decision. They don't
Well,
know how.
the
There's
only
just
reason
yeah.
I would fully support it also is because I've talked to people and I've heard of people who it was involuntary for them, but they're grateful that they were forced into those situations. And that's the other thing, we talk about rehab and whatnot, and it's like 30-day. Science shows you need at least 90 days. A year and a half is, it
Yeah.
gives you a way better chance, but we don't, those programs aren't affordable for people.
Hmm.
And there's no beds available
Hmm.
for them unless you have the
Yeah.
money.
Well, and I think too, Brenda, that they go into those because I have two brothers that are drug addicts, and they
Yeah,
go into those, and then they come out, but they just go
there's
back
no
to their
support.
community
Yeah,
because that's all they know. They
yeah, they
don't
haven't
have,
got tools, and they haven't been
yes,
shown a different lifestyle or
yeah,
lived a different lifestyle. Yeah,
yes, yeah. So they do, you need a lot of therapy and help to get through there. And when my niece died, Leanne, um, I found out at the funeral that she had overdosed 3 times before that and was brought back with
yeah,
noroxin.
yeah, no
Yeah,
loss.
and but there was nothing that could be done
Yeah, yeah,
because you can't stop her.
yeah.
You can't.
And as I watch you tell that story, we can sit here and try and solve this
Hmm.
crisis today between the two of us. I'm sure
If we
we
can.
could, but um, my focus, there are a lot of people trying,
Yes.
there are a lot of organizations trying, but
Yes.
what there isn't are the supports for those of us who have been left behind, for those
Yes.
of us whose stories need to be told very loudly and very clearly, so that people start putting our faces to this crisis,
Right.
not just our loved ones, but also
Yes.
ours. How does this crisis affect the people left behind who have to take care of the children,
Yeah.
um, like our children's children, or your niece, or like, how does that affect their life? What How can we help them going
Hmm.
forward? That's got to be a focus because we're
Yes,
not going to fix this. So we better make sure people have the strength and resources to survive the grief of it.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's where you come in, Brenda. You have got this beautiful book,
Yes.
and I know that you're going to do another book, and I know
Yeah.
you're going to do another book. And so I would encourage people to first of all buy the book. Tomorrow it is going to be available. And so it's going to be all over social media. So purchase the book for so many reasons, but awareness is a big reason to
Yeah.
for purchasing the book and reading these stories. And it's awareness. It's going to help. So please do that, and please support Brenda and what she's doing. And you can do that by purchasing a book. But also, if you've experienced this kind of trauma in your life, whether you were addicted or your family member, or heaven forbid, someone passed away because of it, reach out to Brenda. She's going to be doing more books, more information on this, and she's not going to stop. So, this is all about awareness, and stories are so important. We need to hear people's stories. Then that takes away, it takes, when you tell a story, people remember stories. They understand stories. They'll have emotion around those stories. So stories are so important. We can hear about statistics on the news. We can read about what's happening in the news. But until there's, as you said, Brenda, a face, whether that's the victim, whether that's the family members or the children, my uh my sister-in-law is raising Leanne's son,
Yes.
you know? So and he's 13 now, and he's a handful.
And is she, does she have the tools to deal with the trauma that he has
I don't believe
endured?
that she does, but she does, but he does get care. He does have some counseling, but again, not
I just
not, not fully.
wanted to share this as you were telling your story because that's
Aw,
it.
aw, aw.
And throughout
Yeah,
the book, I've got photos of um, the loved ones that have been lost. And this is
yeah,
Mikey. And
aw,
I think it's important, as I say, the tagline, we didn't even get to that. So the
yes.
book is Echoes of Love, Voices of Loss, and it's keeping their lights alive.
Mhm.
And by keeping their lights alive, by honoring them and their legacy, this is going to help other
Yes,
families. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like the
yes.
core of this is that we help each other through such a tragic situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Brenda Lee's book is available on Amazon tomorrow. Also, I'll be sharing it once I get the link and it's ready to go. It's going to be all over social media. We're going to have it everywhere. So please support Brenda Lee in what she's doing. The Kindle is 99 cents. It's just so important to purchase it so that we can show that the sales are there. The sales are going to show that people care. That's one of the big things. And for Brenda Lee to be able to walk into a government official office and say,
Yeah.
"Do you know how many people purchase this book?" This is important, not just to me, but to every single person who purchased this book. So let's do something. We need to rise up.
Yes,
Darn
absolutely.
them all.
Darn them.
Yeah. Well,
Actually, I think they're going to be, um, some of them will be pleased because we're going to make their job easier for them.
yes.
Yeah, they, when you get a group of people backing you, as a politician, and you're going forward, and this group of people has um, a very clear idea of what needs to be done to save lives. how's that a lose situation, right? Like it,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Brenda-Lee, is there anything that you would like to say before we close?
um, well, thank you, Julie, because I started writing with you. I'm trying to think. It was probably 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
My brain is combobbled with all that information, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had what I needed to have to bring a book like this
Aw.
forward. So thank you so much. I appreciate all your support
Oh,
and
thank
all
you.
of the learning we've done together
Yeah. Yes, yes.
through the
Yeah.
process. And I think women like you and me, we just try and make the world a better place. So
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's all you can do.
yeah, that's it.
That's it.
All
That's
I
all we
know.
can do. Yeah. Okay, everybody. So that's it for this episode. I'm going to have, as soon as Brenda-Lee sends it to me, I'm going to have the link to the book in the show notes. So please, please, Kindles are not much. Um,
It's
and
99 cents.
we need it. We need it. And this is not about this is not about putting 99 cents in Brenda's pocket. This is about showing how many people see this as being an important thing that's happening. And Brenda's, she is building a movement and a movement for change. So please support her in this endeavor that she's up to. Okay, Brenda, we'll have to do a podcast when everything's done and it's calmed
Yes,
down so we can talk about the process and the support that you got. I just know you're going to get so much support from everybody out there. I can just feel it in my heart.
I can feel it.
This is an issue that's near and dear to many, many, many people's hearts.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Okay.
okay. Okay, well, thank you, Brenda.
Right.
Okay, and thank you everyone for being here on this very important issue and on this very important podcast of Women Like Me Stories in Business. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye bye.